muted, but that's okay. Rob Browne with Brenden Martin here. We are on
There we go.
Sports. There it is. There it is.
Yep. Good morning. Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Buenos dias. Hey, everybody.
Buenos
Rob
dias.
Browne, Brenden
Buenos.
Martin. We are back together in Ocala to Memphis and everywhere in between. Thanks for checking in with us, watching us live or at your leisure. Hey, smash the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner, picking up more and more YouTube followers and subscribers. You'll get an automatic notification. I know I send a lot of these auto texts out to people and appreciate you tuning in. Lock it in. And
Lock it.
We're going to put up something today about Rumble Boxing, man. 10% off to all members who join that listen to Sidelines, okay? Let them know. We'll be building a QR code for that. How you fight is how you live. Look, we got Bo Carter, Mr. College Baseball walking historian, talking about Omaha. Chris Lee, Southeastern 14, talking about baseball, a sport he really loves. And allow notifications on your Android, iPhone. Get pen and paper handy. Because we are about to hit you with some powerful stuff on the Men College World Series, a little college football, you name it.
I just want to know from you, Rob, why is college baseball so good?
It's personal. It's just the same thing with football. It's because you feel like you know those kids and that you can relate to them. And
no, I'll tell you why. It's because the Gators won yesterday, and Jack Caglione is my new favorite. Well,
yeah, no, it's just, but college sports are just more personal than anything else. All right, let's get going. We got the guys in the bullpen. Be right back.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, man, we've got Bo Carter. Chris Lee should be joining us here in just a minute, and we're going to talk some serious World Series out in Omaha. Chris Lee, Bo Carter, I call him the living historian, college baseball writers of America, National Football Foundation. Used to be the SID at Mississippi State in the old Southwest Conference office, the head of PR for the Big 12. Chris, meet Bo. Bo, meet Chris. And I'm going to tell you, Chris is in Nashville. Bo is actually from Russellville, but he is a Vanderbilt graduate. Very smart man. And Chris covers Vanderbilt extensively like nobody else, Bo. But I know one thing. Both of y'all love baseball, okay? And, okay, how much better does it get than Jack Caglione yesterday pitching and goes yard when he really needs to? I'll start with Chris and then back to Bo was on yesterday. So I'm going to let you guys drive this ship today because y'all forgotten more than I know about baseball.
Well, good morning, everybody. To your point on Caglione, he didn't pitch long. He pitched an inning. Velo dipped, I think, and that's a concern. Velo dipped a lot, I believe. I was outrunning some errands at that point, didn't see it, but heard, I think, 89 to 90. He's usually 95, 96, bumping 98, 99. So
it was off.
Yeah.
I was watching it in the airport yesterday. And, honestly, you could see, I just because I pitched, but you could see he didn't have it. He was struggling at one point to sort of throw strikes, in a lot of ways. I mean, he walked the bases loaded. Sully came out and talked to him early, and, you just wondered, well, he just looks like he just didn't have enough on it yesterday.
Yeah. And the good news is, even if something's wrong there, you look at Ohtani in LA. I mean, he's taken a year off from pitching, but he's still hitting and hitting pretty well at that. Mm-hmm. So that's where most of his value was anyway. And besides, they've got Brandon Neely, who seemingly could, fall out of bed and throw 60 pitches on a given day and winning the game yesterday.
Hey, Guys, Bo, NC State's gone home. Virginia's gone home. These are good teams. Both of them went 0-2. All these games are close. You were out in Omaha over the weekend. Who's the coach out there that is best suited for this environment? Kevin O'Sullivan, Schlossnagle, because this is elite as it gets.
Yeah, that's a good point. Chris, by the way, of Senior Vanderbilt podcast, always enjoy it. It's no relation to Clark Lee. He spells it Lea. Rob, Chris is spot on in his commentary about the Commodores. Always interesting stuff going on there. No, I've got a theory too, Rob. Coaching, first off, Schlossnagle's been there before. Also, this is the first time A&M's been 2-0 in the World Series. They traditionally have not played they've been 2 in barbecue about 4 or 5 times out there. But Schloss is in there pretty good. And, again, Vitello's been there before, and he's kind of on a mission. They're number 1, number 2, number 1, number 3 seeds there. Another ACC team, I think, is going to be eliminated at least one. So, SEC team being eliminated by process of elimination today in the Kentucky-Florida game. So, coaching makes a big difference. Also, one thing, a theory here. We ate dinner the other night next to the Florida team at a hotel, and Caglione, I think, has been eating too many steaks out there. It's made him sluggish, I guess.
I gotta watch the
having a hard.
meat.
He might be 260 by now. I don't know, but they're having the Gators are enjoying Omaha from what we've seen.
They are. Chris, from what you've seen so far, there's 4 SEC teams left. Which team looks like they're having the most fun?
Tennessee is always the team that looks like it's having the most fun. I think that's the answer to any time that question is asked and they're involved. To the joy of its fan base and to the annoyance of the rest, but that's how it goes.
Yeah. Chris, Christian Moore is from Brooklyn, New York. The reach of Tennessee's always, you go back 40 and 50 years ago, they've always recruited nationally in football. Ernie Grunfeld, I heard the story from Dr. Wiener, the dentist who was a legend in UT basketball. And he talked about, he helped recruit for Ray Mears, Ernie Grunfeld, because he spoke Yiddish and he was from Romania. And so they've always been like that. But 1 through 9, talk about that Tennessee lineup. There's I don't see a weakness in it.
Yeah, it's more like 1 through 12. They bring Reese Chapman off the bench, and he hits a 411-foot home run. What was it? Sunday night. They've got Dalton Bargo. Sometimes he plays, sometimes he doesn't. They've got a couple of utility infielder guys who are lighter with the bat, but like if it's the 8th inning and they're up by 7, they'll bring him in for defense or whatever. So, they've just got a lot of depth. But, 1 through 9, look, I think they've got 5 hitters that are listed on MLB Pipeline's top 75 for the draft, or right inside there. It's really like a top 200 list, but those guys are all between, I think, 25 and 75. Let me see if I've got it right. I'll run through the mental checklist in my head. Christian Moore and Amick are considered borderline first rounders, and you've got Burke, Dreiling, and Tiers, I think, are in that maybe 60 to 75 range as prospects. In addition to that, they've got Dean Curley, who's a next year guy. Cal Stark is not really a prospect, I don't think, in terms of that stature, but he's been there 4 years. They've got Inslee in center, who isn't really a prospect, but he gives them outfield defense when he's not running into walls and having to leave games. But I think I've covered just about all of it. It's depth, it's star power, it's everything you'd want.
Real quick before we go back to Bo, where is Kamara Rocker now?
He's in the Rangers system, and I think he started to pitch again.
Okay. Yeah, that's scary to see. That's like Frank Thomas on the mound. Bo Carter. We talked about Jim Schlossnagle. His 18 years at TCU. You were very familiar with him. He's pretty jacked up, and I'm not criticizing that because everybody says I'm excitable. But from what you're seeing out there, Florida State, this is their 24th trip to the World Series. They've been more than anybody to come home without a national title. Think they can surprise? I know they're not part of the club, but they want to be.
Yeah, they really are. An interesting deal with Florida State. LT Jarrett, Link's son, is assistant coach at NC State, which got eliminated yesterday. So I think trying to remember if there's ever been a father-son opposing coaching duo, and never as a head coach that I can remember. But no, it's you're right, and Chris hit it right on the head with Tennessee. They're playing loose, they're playing free and easy, and they really got great pitching depth. That's another thing Kentucky has too. If they stave off elimination day, or the Gators too. Like Brenden said, you got Neely out there who can throw 60 pitches while lying on the corner of the street. So it's going to be, and this is where pitching depth really, from now on out, you may have to overuse some people. The late great Cliff Gustafson used to always he'd bring a starter back after 2 days. Said, "Son, you've got all summer to rest up." So,
wow,
not good on the arms, but still that was his creed, anything to win. So it's to that point in the World Series now.
Great point. Chris, how deep can Kentucky go? They won their first game in their first trip ever. Then they lost last night to A&M. But A&M is playing great baseball right now. Nowhere to hide.
Yeah, I think whether Florida or Kentucky wins, I think it's going to go to A&M either way. No, here's the problem for Kentucky today. Dominic Neiman is presumably going to start. I guess they could go Travis Smith, who was there for. Yeah. Neither of them were very good. Smith just wasn't good this year. I don't know if maybe recovery from something or what, but Smith is actually their best pro prospect among their pitchers, but he just hasn't gotten the job done, including in Hoover when I saw him pitch down there. So I presume they'll go Neiman. The problem with Neiman is he hasn't been good in a while. They got Mason Moore back on track, and Trey Poozer has been just a rock for them. So, and I think Kentucky's got to win two anyway. I would think they would save Poozer to try to bring him back in a Game 4 situation. But you're stuck with Neiman today, I would think. You threw Cameron O'Brien last night. They've got a decent bullpen. They're not shut down dominant arms, but they've got volume, kind of like in the way that Florida does. And I guess Florida, I'm guessing they'll throw Pierce Coppola. Not a great situation too, and then see whatever Neely can give you at the end, because that always seems to be the plan. But I just don't know. I guess for Kentucky, if Kentucky can get through Florida today, maybe you flip it back over to the top of the rotation and let Poozer give it a go on Wednesday, although he threw Saturday, so I think not. But you're going to have to get back to those top-end arms, but you're going to have to get by Florida first. And I don't think it's the most ideal of pitching situations. But then again, when you get to this point in the tournament, most teams don't have that. I mean, it's not like you've got Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter pitching out of your 3-hole if you're anybody.
Yeah. Chris, before we go back to Bo, got a pick on today's game, Kentucky and Florida, because it's a hair match. Loser goes home.
I'll take Kentucky. I just keep thinking the Magic's going to run out for Florida, but I thought that in Stillwater. I thought that in Clemson. It hasn't happened yet. I think Kentucky's the better team. That lineup didn't really hit last night like it's capable. But, again, neither team in ideal shape with the pitching today, and I think it'll be a war of attrition at the end, and we'll see who wins that.
Yeah. Bo, I'm with you. I don't think we've ever had a father-son coach combo on opposing teams in Omaha. If I'm wrong, I'll give you each of y'all a steamer pack of crystals, a box of fluorescent bulbs, and some sponges, because I'll be wrong. But Bo, your perspective, college baseball, we talk about the revenue coming in. There's 91 national championships the NCAA runs. They don't run college football. We know that. March Madness, about $1.2 billion. How much growth are you seeing in the number crunchers? Because you know this, because you've been in the catbird seat. Is college baseball growing, and how bright is the future?
Oh, it's going great. In fact, Brenden will love this. They're adding women's wrestling as a sport in 25,
Are you serious?
26. True story. the NAI's had it for
Yeah,
about
I'm learning how to be a ref. So
Yeah, Brendan's going to officiate the matches. Oh my gosh, I tell you,
Holy
it's pretty
cow.
rough. It's like MMA on steroids or something. But anyway, they don't have
Wow.
cage matches though, Brendan. That'll be fun. But no,
we'll fix that.
Robert, you're right. It's reached, I think, a peak in popularity. Look at Kentucky; they 8,400 for one game, 7,500. I can remember years in the 70s and 80s when Kentucky didn't have 8,400 people for the entire season. So it's really,
Wow.
I mean, it's picked up nationwide. I mean, look at Grand Canyon, Ron Polk's alma mater when he was in AI school, making to the tournament. High Point, you've got new schools. Evansville beating Tennessee up there. I mean, the parity is really amazing. And the first four games in Omaha were all one-run games and three walk-offs. So
Yeah.
It's so you don't have like a USC or an Arizona State or a LSU just absolutely. Although Tennessee's pretty close, but a team dominating the entire picture like you've had in past years. So it's been more fun. I think the fan interest is increased because of that.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, it's annuitizing the future of Major League Baseball because we all grew up. You can't, like Butch Thompson always says, I love Coach Thompson at Auburn. He says, you can't beat Father's Day in Omaha.
Yeah.
It's just, it's such a big deal. And God, you're just seeing things just kind of, they slow down with baseball. I'm wound up like JoJo the Circus Boy, I'll admit it, but baseball calms me down. And so does the Grateful Dead channel. And I don't even know all their songs, but it just kind of calms me down. But Bo, by the way, Perry Mason, great farmer, citrus farmer down in the great state of Florida. Rob, when are you having Billy Napier's friend on the show? He will be on there with us Friday morning. Perry, thank you. And tell your friends, family, and neighbors to watch us. Chris, when you think about baseball, I go back to that Tim Corbin speech. I'm going to go get everybody within 250 miles of Nashville. I can build a national powerhouse. I don't think he needs to go more than 50 or 60. There's so much talent. I'll see. It's a corny term, but it's embarrassment of riches, whatever. But he's not apologizing to anybody. And God, I hope he doesn't get out of coaching. He's what? Yeah. We need more him.
Yeah, he's not leaving. He's changing his approach. They've already landed a couple of really good players in the portal. A lot of people think he thought he wouldn't do that. He fired Mike Baxter, his hitting coach, and that was one thing that I think a lot of people felt he might not be able to do because he recruited Mike Baxter to Vanderbilt 20 years ago. And he played on his 05 team, and I think also on his 04 team, if I remember that correctly, and was a transfer from Columbia. Brought him in as a hitting coach 7 years ago. That coaching staff is like family. So when Tim Corbin is letting a Mike Baxter walk, which a lot of people thought he wouldn't do just out of loyalty, he's serious. When he's hitting the portal and he's landing one of the top left-handed pitchers in the portal, when they've got some good arms on the staff already, and he's landing the Atlantic 10 freshman of the year. Oh, by the way, after bringing in his coach to be an assistant. They brought Dayton's head coach to be an assistant on the staff, this is all part of the footballization of baseball, which is another conversation if we want to get into it. Now you're seeing, you saw Sunbelt coaches leaving to become coordinators and position coaches in football this spring. Now you're seeing that trickle down where mid-major coaches are leaving to be from head coaches one place to another place. But yeah, I think to the recruiting thing, the problem they're having is Tony Vitello's eaten into their recruiting base locally a good bit. I mean, used to be they'd get kids out of Knoxville. Patrick Raby, who started for them for 2 or 3 years out of the rotation. Parker Nolan, who was their starting second baseman and third baseman for a couple of years, both out of Knoxville. Now they're starting to – those kids in Knoxville are starting to stay home a little bit more. That eats into it. Tennessee's getting kids out of Middle Tennessee. Kavaris Tears is out of Columbia Central. I don't know how hard Vanderbilt did or didn't recruit those kids. Yeah. And Corbin's always going to have a very heavy Northeast presence. That's where he's from, New Hampshire. Yeah. They're always going to recruit that area and get top talent there. But the game has changed a little bit, or maybe a lot, because of Tony Vitello and what he's done in Knoxville.
He really has. Bo, you look now, TV. I like the broadcast crews that they've got on ESPN. I think they do a really good job and Kyle Peterson, I mean, he's really good. He was a Stanford guy, number 1 overall pick. man, the seismic shift from the West Coast all the way to Big 12, but really the South, which is the ACC footprint. Again, Virginia, North Carolina State, Florida State, those are all Southern schools. I just checked. They get players from everywhere. But again, the popularity of baseball, college baseball, the fact that it's SEC, ACC, I don't think that hurts. I think it's more compelling.
No, it really is. And it followed a pattern all year. The ACC and the SEC had about 14, 15, 16 teams in the top 25 every week. And it played out that way too, especially in the regionals. And I thought at one time the SEC might get 7 or 8 host deals. They spread everything around. I know Mississippi State was disappointed a little bit. I think they thought that East Carolina probably don't know. I think the committee decided to regionalize a little bit, which was probably a good idea. But you don't want to bracket all of them right to the super regionals and the NCAA World Series. But it really worked out the way the NCAA, 7 of the top 8 seeds are in Omaha. So that tells a lot about the way the selection committee took a look at it.
Yeah. Chris, now you think about Florida. You think maybe the Magic's running out. Are they considered the Cinderella team at the same time? Or Kentucky certainly isn't. Who else would be considered of the 6 teams left, at least?
I mean, I guess as much as you can consider the last year's national runner-up, which was number 2 in the preseason poll, the Cinderella.
That's
I don't know if Florida's season was as much about Florida being a Cinderella story or just somebody's got to take the L's somewhere in all these SEC games. Happened to LSU too. Now, look, their pitching wasn't as mature as some of Kevin O'Sullivan's staffs, and the bottom half of their order at times was lacking. They had some injuries. Ty Evans is out. I think if you're looking for a Cinderella, it's got to be them because it's got, of the 8 teams that made it with 7 1s and a 3. But that's just it's a weird situation.
Yeah, it is. Bo, now, I mean, again, the series can go, another week?
Actually, be over. Yeah, there's Sunday or Monday, depending on the if necessary games. Yeah,
it seemed like last year because I know Frank Duffy told his wife Rhonda on their West Coast trip, "Hey, if LSU gets to Omaha, we're going." He was gone from his home for 29 days. He goes, "I think I've used it." My wife was ready to kill me. He goes, 12 straight days in Omaha. He was there in an RV. He goes, "Man, it was tough." But I don't know. I just got to say, Chris, the Florida story, the Kentucky story, A&M, and then Tennessee. Talk from your perspective. I know Bo has a lot about Jim Schlossnagle, but the baseball talent that A&M has, that 6'6" outfielder, he's worth his weight in gold. And he's out there signing autographs for the kids while everybody else was on the bus. That's what you see a lot of in Omaha.
Yeah, the question is he going to be worth his weight in gold going forward because he pulled that hamstring last night. And he did take another at bat, but then he came out. I think Schlossnagle said last night it was a slightly pulled hamstring. The problem with slightly pulled hamstrings is when you play on them, they become greatly pulled hamstrings more often than not. And so I don't know. I tweeted this out last night. You will occasionally see a team lose a stud in postseason. Mm-hmm. Their postseason thing started with they lost Braden Montgomery in game 1 of the Super Regional, one of the best probably 5 hitters in the league, and going to be a top 10 guy off the board in the draft. They lost him to an ankle injury. He's done for the year. They lost Shane Sadeo, who the one weakness they have is starting pitching 2 and 3. And they had moved him into one of those roles and really solidified that. It took him out of the bullpen, which they could afford to do because they've got a lot of guys that can go deep. But then he got hurt. He's done for the year. Last night, Lavalette, who's, with the exception of Jack Caglione, maybe Christian Moore, maybe the best player left in the tournament at this point. We'll have to see how he does. They get a day to rest. I don't know if a hamstring heals in 24 hours. I'm pretty skeptical, but or 48 hours, whatever. But that's my concern. Is he is going to be a candidate for the first overall pick in next year's Major League Baseball draft, and so now look, you can see teams lose guys. You can see them lose a guy. They lost Montgomery. They kept on chugging, got through Oregon. They lost Sadeo, kept on chugging, got through Oregon. It's the cumulative effect of all the losses. Now, look, here's the good news if you're A&M, and I'm getting off tangent. You still got a lot of pitching left, but I was concerned last night, given that injury and how quickly he came out of the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, Bo, they've got the best trainers. They've got Omaha, they've got doctors, and every team has their trainers and stuff there. But I can't. I mean, if you've ever pulled a hamstring, it's so painful. I ruptured a quadricep one time. That was just don't even. It hurts to even talk about it. But
I suffered from a pulled hamstring in high school, and I got it my junior year, and it didn't go away. I mean, because you keep tweaking it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like once you think it's healed, you're afraid to put that pressure on it. And any sort of baseball, if you've played at all, whether you're throwing or you're batting or even catching, you're always extending, either leg, which is problematic when you've done it bajillions of times that you forget about it. And so that's how you re-injure yourself. They want you on crutches for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And that's the problem. Everybody. But at this point, Bo, like what everybody's saying, people are going to do anything and everything to help their team win. That's what competitors do.
Yep, just tape it up and go. And although Brenden was right, you're running on that, especially if you're a base runner. No courtesy runners in NCAA baseball, so you're on that thing the whole time. Plus, you're out in the field, and it's really a just sort of a nagging deal that really, especially in football, but even more so in baseball because of all the or something like soccer where you're sitting there trying to run up and down the pitch. So you hope for the young man's sake that he's okay. It's really a tough time. The Montgomery deal, as Chris alluded, really I thought might cut a bunch right out of A&M's middle of the hitting lineup, but they seem to like they've sort of ganged up and sort of compensated and win one for the Gipper, I guess.
Yeah. Chris, I know you've got to check out here in a couple of minutes, so just kind of close out your part and let people know how they can follow you. But if you had to pick one team right now you think is going to win the whole thing, who would that be?
I picked A&M before the tournament to win the whole thing. I've stuck with it so far. I think if Lavalette can't go, I might flip the pick. Now, having said that, because I think right now Tennessee top to bottom best team in Omaha, I don't think most people would debate that. The problem is you don't match your hitters up with the other team's hitters. You match them up with the other team's pitchers. And I think if A&M can get through tomorrow night without taking a loss and can reset presumably against Tennessee, Tennessee's going to have to get through Ryan Prager to win it. I think he would be the best arm on either of those staffs. The next best arm is Evan Aschenbeck, who comes out of their bullpen and can give you 3-4 innings of relief and good luck scoring against that kid. He's the best relief pitcher in the country. That's a really good start for them. And we haven't even gotten into Chris Cortez yet or some of their other guys. And if they get a good start out of Justin Lampkin, who has been hit and miss, then that's a bonus. I don't like Tennessee's arms to match up with A&M's, even with the Sadeo injury. I mean, they're two really good staffs. I like A&M's better. The question is, can those guys keep them in the park? I mean, Tennessee seems like the smart pick at this point, but I can make a case for A&M too, even with the injuries.
Yeah, and when you point out the matchups, I looked at that Florida State against Tennessee last Friday, and you looked at the matchups. The one area where Tennessee had the advantage was that home run category and the long balls. And that's 12-11. And last thing, Chris, the term walk-off win, we didn't used to hear that all the time. Mm-hmm. When did that, I mean, it's this trendy stuff like pet rocks and stuff, but what we used to call it, they got the win. I mean, it's just, I guess it's just like those guys on TV. They can't say each other's names. They have Peter Burns, PB. I mean, CLBO. I don't know. It's just, I just was curious because we didn't used to hear that. But A&M is as good a team as it's. You're right. Prager, watching them, they've traveled out there big time, and they've but all these SEC schools travel better than anybody. Chris, how can people follow you and keep up with all your great work?
Go to YouTube, search Southeastern 14. You'll find all of our SEC stuff there. We cover football, baseball, basketball. About to undergo a name change. You can probably guess what it is with your first guess. I won't spoil it, but at least that was the plan as of yesterday.
Brenden is struggling with this one.
Yeah, it's
not
hard.
18.
Well, yeah, I mean that's probably
You guys are
what's
going
gonna
to the
happen.
Ocho. You're going to be called the DA.
Yes.
Let me, if you want to laugh, brilliant idea to build your brand around a number. But at least we were smart enough to buy like a lot of other numbers that went with that. What's going to happen is the minute we announce that they're going to, add Florida State and Clemson and North Carolina, Virginia, and whoever, and it's going to be Southeastern 28 or something next thing you know. But anyway, that's where you go. If you want Vandy stuff, go to Vandy Sports. You can search the Vandy Sports podcast. We do that there. I run that also. So, thank you for having me on. And Bo, nice to meet you. Thanks
Chris.
for listening to our stuff. And, always enjoy it here.
Hey, man, you make the day better. Have a great one, Chris. Thanks.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Let me say something real quick about one of our sponsors, rumbleboxinggym.com. Sidelines viewers and listeners get 10% off a membership at Rumble Boxing Midtown if they use the code SIDELINES. We'll get a QR code in here on the site. We'll give them an intro class for free so they can try it first. Call us at 901-593-2522 or Google us for more info. The discount, again, is evergreen. There is a sense of urgency. You want to join. Big Blake is going to come on to talk about, this is her new general manager. His brother, that is a Super Bowl ring wearing Kansas City Chief, sadly died of a heart attack and came back to life about a week ago, just like Hamlin. He is fine now. Wow. But it was a big scare. Family's from Little Rock, and they turned out 4 college athletes. 2 went in the NFL. 2 others are still in college. Brother plays basketball at CBU. What an incredible story. Rumble Boxing Gym, my good friend Ann Camp Lee. That is an awesome sponsor that we have. You talk about a workout to blow your mind, Rumble Boxing Gym. And also, Cool More Logistics and Transportation. Anything you need shipped on a truck, flatbed, LTL, van, the containers, everything's got to be shipped on a truck. Steel coils, lumber, seed, cotton, anything. Coolmore Logistics and Transportation, coolmorelogistics.com, based in Memphis with a global reach. I'm going by the office today to check out the operation. Again, went over there a couple of weeks ago when they came on board as a sponsor. What they will do is they will outwork anybody in the business. They have really solid connections. It looks like the trading floor of a hedge fund. All the computers. There's a need for something to be shipped from Ocala to Amarillo. They will put the word out. They'll post it. And within a matter of minutes, their phones are blowing up with drivers wanting to carry the loads. Coolmore Logistics. And also, Hewlett and Dunn, Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. You got the turtle box I've been talking about, the coolest sound you've ever heard. They've got duck heads. These Acres Down South polos are fantastic. They got them for the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC. They've got the hunting shirts, camouflage. They got one I saw the other day that's got the antler racks all over it. It's forest green, great looking shirt. Great place to go. Open Monday through Saturday, as they say in the South, Bo. Monday through Saturday. There a tea in there somewhere? Buy a tea for $50. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And just remember this, Charles Hall, his wife Laura, Raven, the whole crew out there, they are fantastic people to deal with. Bo, God, I love college baseball and what's going on, right now. Let's flip to football real quick. these football magazines are out. This is Lindy's, So I'm listening last night to my friend Chuck Oliver. I love this guy. He has a show called Southern Sports Today. It's on 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, based over in Atlanta. Chuck has coached. He's been doing this a long time. It's 2 hours of nothing but college football, Monday through Friday. And it's on after we're on. He's talking last night. I was just listening late last night to yesterday's show. Man, I talked about Georgia and how they, back in the early 2000s, Georgia had 5 monster rivals. They had South Carolina, Clemson, Auburn, Tennessee, and, of course, Florida. And, South Carolina, that's not really much anymore. They don't play Clemson regularly. Tennessee, that's a good one, but they win most of those. Auburn, in this millennium, Georgia is 18-7 against Auburn. Really, after the 2000 to 2009, it was Auburn 4, Georgia 6. But 2010 to 2019, Bo, it's Georgia 8, Auburn 3. And 20 through 23, the first 4 years, it's Georgia 4, Auburn nothing, meaning they lead 18-7 in this millennium. And Florida, Georgia, hey, Spurrier was 11-1 against Georgia. And it's hard for both of them to be good at the same time. My question is to you, Bo, and I'll throw Brenden in after you. Is a rivalry if one team is winning all the time? I'm just asking. What makes a rivalry? Because it's for every sport too. Don't forget, because that Auburn-Alabama basketball rivalry is becoming primetime TV.
Yeah, no, you're right, Rob. They it's kind of a interesting deal. I think Brenden might agree with me too. I think it's more like longevity, like the Egg Bowl at Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Ole Miss beat Mississippi State, I think, 17 consecutive times in the 40s through the 60s, and Florida manhandled Georgia there for a few years, in the 60s and 70s before things got turned around or whatever. So it's I think it's more like the longevity of it. Again, I saw that interesting deal. Vanderbilt's not playing Alabama this year for the first time since 1946, and Mississippi State's not playing Alabama this year for the first time since 46, even though they're 88 miles away. And I know they're very glad to get that one out of the way.
But like people talk, that is a neighborhood rivalry. That really is. It's going to be weird. There's special rivalries, but Bo, I mean, you an SID like you, was it Bob Hartley at Mississippi State? Was he your predecessor?
Yes, my mentor there. One great guy, was there for 39 years.
Buddy Martin tells stories. He said, hey, Buddy talks. He's like the coach on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All right, everybody. Buddy's wearing a gray sweatshirt that says coach on it with a hat that says team on it, but with a whistle. And Buddy goes, we used to fly into Jackson. Bob Hartley used to meet us at the airport, and he'd drive us to Starkville or drive us to the game. Or we would fly into the Golden Triangle. Bo, name the 3 cities that make up the Golden Triangle in East Mississippi. They are
Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, the major metropolises of Northeast. You can include Tuscaloosa or Reform in there too, I guess.
Yeah, Starkville, Columbus, and West Point.
Brendan's been there. Brendan, you know what we're talking about.
I think I've ever heard, by the way. Yeah. Just so you know. He's kind of nothing like that. It's the worst impression of Buddy.
No. Buddy has this. Ever. When Buddy tells us
he does.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Brenden.
What happened to Brenden?
Knocked himself off.
Brenden, come back in, Brenden. Where did Brenden go? Well, anyway, but he said Bob Hartley, that's so awesome. Now, where are you on your book, Tales of Mississippi State Athletics?
Yes, we're still hoping to get we may self-publish, may also get a little assistance from Mississippi State Bulldog Club, but getting closer. Believe it or not, I'm working on another book about the Philadelphia Phillies, and that's been taking a little bit longer than what I thought it would. So we're working toward trying to get it out before football season, which would really be a good time to new coach Jeff Levy, and there's excitement around Starkville. they're hitting the transfer portal, and they've got a ton of verbal commitments, it looks like, for 2025. So he's doing a great job.
Yeah, and we were talking about that Florida-Georgia rivalry. That is one of those ones that's still neutral in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I did feel like the Iron Bowl played at Legion Field. People parking the cars were wearing Alabama stuff, and it was fun playing there, going to the Tiger and Tide liquor store and parking over there in that neighborhood and paying people and saying, please, my car will be there when I get back. And they were cool as hell. I love it. I love Birmingham. It is the college football capital of the South. But Jacksonville, that rivalry down there, that's big. That is, a lot of people think Florida is as southern a state as it gets. Jacksonville, like Memphis, is a southern city. It's the largest landmass city, Duval County, in America. And I just think about the Florida-Georgia rivalry. That is a special deal. Right now, Georgia's on top. It goes in streaks. Does it kind of remind you of the Tennessee-Alabama series, Brenden or Bo, whoever wants to answer? Anyone? Bueller?
Brenden lead the way there.
Well,
We got you back.
We're back.
well, the power just went out, so a tree fell on our house while I was out of town. So there's that.
I didn't mean to be. I wasn't talking bad about you. I love your dad.
I'll share photos tomorrow, but there's a large tree limb on top of our house. I don't know where you left off, Bo, but what I would say, about rivalry, especially growing up as son of a sports writer and being around it, these are one of those things that you sort of just ingest naturally, like you breathe at our dinner table. I think these things are things that are passed down generationally. I think they are passed down from your fathers and your friends and that are older and whatever. And you grow up like I do, hating Florida State. Your two favorite teams are the Florida Gators and whoever's playing Florida State. And then you get older and then you hate Georgia. And, and then you wait and you realize that when you were 7 years old, you used to scream, "Go Gators," not you, Georgia. These are where these things are cemented, I think, in your blood, and why college football is such a special and personal thing to us, because it's something that comes to us in our childhood, especially in the SEC, especially with these long schools, is you're just raised in it. And to me, that's what makes a rivalry.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about my son just drove out he's going to work at Sequoia National Park in California this summer. He got there Sunday night, and he's got all of his Auburn stuff with him. And he's just like, yesterday morning, he texted me and he said, "Man, wow, waking up in California in the Sequoia National Forest. This is a great country." And he'll never get over going to Coach Dye's house the night before kick 6 and asking him, "Coach, do you think we're going to beat Alabama?" And getting the response from Coach Dye, he goes, "Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, Gus is going to get after their ass." And I said, "Coach," we're going to make them play a full 60 tomorrow. And he goes, "Well, we'll see. That's why they're going to play the game." But it did go down to a full 60. And I think about this show. I get so excited. About 4:30, I'm bouncing on. This is so much fun to get to communicate with the fans of all these schools. And I'll admit it, I get as excited as they do about their schools, and I'm harder on my own school than I am any school. But you can't do this show if you can't love what they all do. Now, I can't understand some of these traditions. A&M, I'll never understand all those cheers, but I love those A&M fans. They are packing Omaha. I mean, it's crazy. Kentucky, the big blue nation. That's what makes the SEC so great. Look, Bo, I know you got to get rolling, and you're going to get your vehicle. You want to give a shameless plug for where you're going to get your vehicle?
I wish we were going to Red River Toyota in Ford and Wynn, Arkansas.
That's right.
Shameless plug for the sponsor, but no, we got a different brand. But it's time for the 100,000. We're keeping our cars a little longer, 100,000 mile checkup. And one thing, real quickly, Brenden, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're doing renovation to Everbank Stadium in 25, 26. They've got to decide. I think they're going to go back and this happened, what, 20 or 30 years ago. They had to play
30.
a game on campus in Gainesville in Georgia, which will really be strange, but time marches on. They need to fix up the stadium a little bit. And both Gainesville.
I'm looking forward to that. I know you got to go, Bo, but I'm actually looking forward to going back to campuses. Yeah,
you don't have, it's either Gainesville or Ocala. I mean Gainesville or Jacksonville. So you're kind of not too far from either. So that's good. But,
yeah.
Well, Bo Carter, you got the brain of Einstein and the personality of Andy Griffith. That's hard to beat.
And now you're 5 minutes late to your car appointment.
Yeah.
Thanks, Don.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, Don Knotts.
You're supposed to be there twixt 9 and 10. Twixt. Okay. That's a Southern term. See you, Bo. Thank you.
Y'all have a great day. Thanks.
You too. Thanks. Brenden, he is one of the best. But what your dad was pointing out was Bob Hartley picking him up at the airport. And, they would go cover Florida at Mississippi State. They would pick him up. David Housel at Auburn, the press would come in for a game at Auburn. They would have an event, a dinner for all the media from Auburn and the other school, whoever was in town. There may be 800 people there. We got to get back to remembering that. That's why we love these games. Whatever fan base you are, from Arkansas to Missouri, we don't know as much about Missouri. Most people don't. I know a little about them. Dennis Dodd is a Mizzou grad, but they're spending $250 million to renovate just one of their end zones. They've got some serious money.
But it needs it, though. It's a bad stadium. I mean, the stadium's real bad.
Well, you know what? Faroe Field, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's got
it's falling apart.
Program.
Yeah, I mean, I think, in a lot of ways, I think they're fixing that end zone, but it's just a Band-Aid probably for a decade or so. I mean, they just need a new field.
Curious. Well, I'm curious what they're doing. If you're going to spend $250 million, something good's going to come out of it. It better. Yeah.
I mean, for that matter, you think you could renovate the whole stadium, but what I know of Missouri, being a Colorado person or whatever, I have a lot of friends that went there. I think a lot of people don't know academia in Missouri is high end. It's the #1 journalism school every year.
Yeah.
And it produces some of those ethical, real journalists, and they preach real journalism and real ethics and things. They take all that stuff real serious. A lot of people don't understand that that's a thing, but and so that's why I know. I mean, I've been there, I think, once or twice to work, but I think these kind of schools, and I've said this before, these schools who have a fan base, they're a smaller environment where that school and that team is their pro team, a la Gainesville, a la all these places. And you've got money in these towns, they're going to support it. And, you're going to see with NIL and everything that we talk about almost every day, an emergence of a lot of these schools that have that kind of power. It just comes down to money, right, Rob? I mean, it's always going to come down to money. And I think Missouri's got money. I don't know if we can pinpoint it as much as say, it's like Texas oil money, but they've got money because they're putting 250 smackers into putting in a new end zone.
Yeah. Well, they've got some of the Walmart money is tied in. They got Stan Kroenke. They got the Kansas
Is it
City.
Stan Kroenke?
He's one of their people. Yeah.
Oh, well, then that's all you got to say. I mean, I worked for Stan Kroenke for 15 years, at Altitude Sports and Entertainment, but he owns the Arsenal, the Rams. The list is long.
And the question is, can you get somebody with that big of a global reach, like Coolmore Logistics and Transportation.com? Can you get someone like that to dial in on the University of Missouri? I'm going to say something. Their fans are starved. Now, do they fit in the Big 12, the Big 10, or the SEC? Depends on what part of Missouri that you're in. That's what people don't understand. Yeah.
Power's coming back on, Rob. Sorry. We just got excited. If anyone's hearing some beeping, power's coming back online here. So
trust me, we live in storm central up here in Memphis. We had a storm yesterday so intense at 4:30 it turned dark outside, and it rained. I know down in Miami and Fort Lauderdale last week they had 5 inches an hour coming down, and that is intense. But college baseball, we got the Gators and Kentucky. This is going to be huge today. Tennessee,
huge.
Texas A&M still alive. We got Florida State and North Carolina still alive. And, here it is. And in about a week, we're going to be wrapped up with all the college sports. And we got a lot to cover. And then we're going out to Dallas July 14th through the 18th for media days. But
I know I got to get my travel and all that done.
I got my credentials. I'm looking forward to it. I will say this, Herb Vincent and the people in the Southeastern Conference office, Chuck Dunlap and all, are fantastic. I always go up and tell Herb Vincent when I see him. I know he's an LSU guy, but he's been in the SEC office a long time. He used to be their SID. He is first class. They bend over backwards to help you. And I just cannot thank them enough. They are phenomenal people. SEC Media Days is the Woodstock for journalism and for sports media coverage. There'll be 1,400 people in Dallas this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, look, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up today because I gave Rodney Orr the day off and Tighter and Cider.
And my house is going to explode any minute.
I know. I can feel the rumbles, but we got the Buddy Martin show tonight. And you and I are going to be on there with your dad's going to be stopping off on the way back to Panama City.
Yep, right here on this channel.
Right here on this channel. So tell your friends, family, and neighbors and everybody watching. We are so blessed and so thankful. We can't do this without y'all. And all of our sponsors, just do us a favor, like Clay's Smoked Tuna. We got a lot of great sponsors, every one of them. Chad House, ECS House Industries, Tom Martin's Body Shop, Gaddis Home Innovation. Do yourself a favor. Do us a favor. Do them a favor. Go to sidelines.live if you want to order from these sponsors. The Vitamin Shop, Oxford and Olive Branch, Mississippi. The QR codes are all there. But we live in the most blessed country in the world, people. Act like it. Find excuses to win. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tonight with Brenden. I get to be on the Buddy Martin show, which is always an honor. Take care. Get your power back.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shop's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal and the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.